There are television spin-offs, and then there are shows that redefine the DNA of their predecessors. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage is shaping up to be the latter. While young Sheldon enjoyed 7 successful seasons, it frequently stumbled when it came to one crucial aspect: emotional balance. The spin-off, in contrast, dives headfirst into heart, humor, and human complexity, already achieving something young Sheldon often failed to do: create a truly emotionally resonant, character-driven story that isn't overwhelmed by its source material. From the moment young Sheldon premiered, it was clear the series would differ tonally from its parent, The Big Bang Theory. It was softer, more introspective, and had a nostalgic Southern charm that appealed to fans and newcomers alike. But while it tried to deepen Sheldon Cooper's character through childhood anecdotes, the show often got tangled in its own concept. Everything, every moment of joy, loss, discovery, was filtered through Sheldon's lens. That meant his family. Members became satellites to his development, their lives portrayed only as they impacted him. That's where Georgie and Mandy's first marriage breaks new ground. Right out of the gate, it liberates itself from Sheldon's gravitational pull. We're no longer anchored to his omniscient narration or limited by his understanding of the world. Instead, we're given 2 flawed, complicated, and deeply human protagonists, Georgie and Mandy, each with their own perspectives, traumas, and goals. Mandy, in particular, is a revelation. In young Sheldon, she was a bit of an anomaly, a mature, intelligent woman inexplicably involved with Georgie, who was still emotionally adolescent. Their romance, while sweet in moments, always felt underexplored. But the new show lets us see Mandy in full color. We learn more about her ambitions, her upbringing, her frustration with small-town Texas life, and most importantly, her fierce desire to create a family that doesn't mirror the dysfunction she grew up with. Georgie, too, has evolved. He's no longer just the comic relief older brother or the hapless teenage dad. We see the weight he carries, the expectations from his late father George Sr., the pressure of supporting a young family, and his ongoing struggle with maturity. There's a grounded vulnerability in him now, and Georgie and Mandy's first marriage takes time to explore it. Where young Sheldon often sidestepped emotional complexity with quirky anecdotes or nostalgia-heavy narration, the spin-off embraces the messiness of life head-on. One early episode revolves around Georgie and Mandy trying to plan a romantic date night amid baby spit-up, financial stress, and their clashing schedules. It sounds simple, but it's rich with subtext. The sacrifices young parents make, the tension between personal dreams and family responsibilities, and the growing pains of learning how to love someone fully. Not the idea of them, but the whole, flawed person. Perhaps what truly sets this new show apart is its willingness to slow down. Young Sheldon had a fast, sitcom pace at times, often skipping over the fallout of major emotional events. For instance, when George Sr. died, arguably one of the most traumatic moments for the Cooper family, the show moved forward quickly, checking the necessary boxes but never dwelling too long on the grief. It was a plot point to move Sheldon's story along. But in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, emotional moments are allowed to breathe. There's an episode where Mandy, after a tough argument, confesses her fear that they're just repeating patterns from their own broken families. The scene doesn't end with a neat joke or a quick hug. Instead, it lingers. There's silence, there's processing, and finally, there's resolution. Not perfect, but real. That emotional authenticity is what young Sheldon often lacked. It tried to balance being a comedy with being a heartfelt family drama, but the tonal shifts sometimes felt jarring. By contrast, the new spin-off fully commits to being both, and it manages the blend with grace. A Baby's Diaper Disaster can be both hilarious and a metaphor for the unexpected chaos of young marriage. The show also benefits from its expanded ensemble. Now that characters like Mary Cooper and Meemaw can interact with Georgie and Mandy without the "how does this affect Sheldon" lens, their personalities blossom. Mary, in particular, gets richer development as a grandmother trying to support her son while managing her own evolving identity. She's no longer just Sheldon's mom. She's a woman grappling with aging, spirituality, and familial duty. The writing in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage also shines in its world-building. The small-town Texas setting, once a backdrop, in young Sheldon becomes a character in its own right. There are new locations, like the diner where Mandy works part-time, or the daycare filled with colorful supporting characters, each bringing fresh dynamics into play. The town feels alive, evolving just as its inhabitants do. Importantly, the show isn't afraid to tackle heavier themes. Financial insecurity, postpartum anxiety, and the stigma of young parenthood are explored with honesty and nuance. But it's never preachy or overly dramatic. The writers trust the audience to understand the stakes without underlining them with melodrama. Visually, the show has matured too. There's more warmth in the cinematography, more attention to detail in the domestic spaces that Georgie and Mandy call home. Their apartment is small, cluttered, and lived in, symbolic of their imperfect but growing love. What Georgie and Mandy's first marriage ultimately gets right is that it tells a story not of genius or extraordinary intellect, but of ordinary love fighting to survive in an often unsupportive world. That's something young Sheldon, for all its charms, never quite managed. It was always about how Sheldon was different, and how the world had to accommodate that. This new show is about how people learn to accommodate each other, not out of obligation, but out of love. And in that, it becomes something even more compelling. If young Sheldon was a look back at the mind of a genius, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage is a look forward into the heart of a family. And by doing so, it doesn't just extend the legacy of the Big Bang Theory universe, it expands it. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version or if you'd like help turning this into a video or podcast script.